call this meeting to order. Shelby County Supervisors is Tuesday, October 15th. You guys have any conflict of interest on the agenda?
None.
Okay. Any changes to the agenda, Mark?
No, sir.
You guys have anything?
None.
Have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Bryce. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the last meeting's minutes. Mark, you have any corrections there?
No.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Bryce, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the claims list, fairly lengthy. Got a chance to look them over?
Yep, no questions.
Okay. Motion to approve is presented.
Motion.
Motion by Bryce,
Second.
second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda, Luke Walker, our Environmental Health Director report. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Luke.
I'm sure you've been a busy beaver with all kinds of stuff people want to get done before winter comes, huh?
Everything's been busy. Just got a quarterly report for you guys today. Had our annual, well, I won't say it's annual, State Department goes around to every county or every place that has passports and they do an inspection.
Oh,
I don't think they've been to Shelby County for probably 4 years now. Had a gal come August 15th, went through the office, more or less just kind of going down how you accept passports, this and that. Everything was good to go. We passed with flying colors on that. So, and as of October 3rd, passport times have actually gotten better. If we're sending routine now, it's 4 to 6 weeks instead of it was 6 to 8 weeks. Expedited, still remaining 2 to 3 weeks. So, seems like every time I'm in the grocery store, I run into somebody, you know, hey, we got ours back. It was only 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So, seems like the State Department is getting on top of it and they're getting them processed
much better than the other way, right?
Exactly. Yep. So,
Okay.
time of transfer inspections, been pretty average this year. With market rates and interest rates and all that, there hasn't been a whole lot of transfers, but it's been about average. So, done a lot of perk tests this year, a lot of perk tests, and mainly replacements, not newer houses. People just updating their sewers because they're old cesspools and whatnot. So, we kind of talked about this before the meeting. Water samples, been doing quite a few of these, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it's all over the county. Just out of the lack of rain we've had, a lot of that ground shrinks out below, or away from the well casings, and a lot of bacteria, a lot of E. coli is coming back in these samples. But with the Grants County money, they can get those wells shocked, and it usually does help out. So brings everything back.
That was
to
a
normal.
question I was going to have for today. That money still readily available?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have
So,
available funds for that, and what else?
so what that all entails would be well pluggings, well rehabilitation, which would be if you got an old 36-inch casing that comes up out of the ground with the concrete lid. Typically what they'll do is they'll dig down about 10 to 15 foot. They'll put a concrete lid down there with a bentonite seal and then do a pitless adapter. So it just keeps everything underground, and all you have is 4 or 6 inch pipe up above the floor there. So it does help with keeping rodents and snakes, and if we do get rain, that'll wash out from getting into there. So with that, we get to 50,500, which is typical for every county. This year they've actually kind of gone through and actually bumped up prices kind of more realistically. So from last year, a well plug was $500 you could get up to. Now they bumped that up to $700, which does help out quite a bit because most wells are running about $1,000 to fill, depending. Filling cisterns went up $100. Shocking well went up $100 from $300 to $400. That was the same with cisterns. So the big one is the well rehabs, which do a lot of good. Last year was $1,000. This year they bumped it up to $2,000.
Wow.
So being that the prices have gone up, less jobs get done. Because there's more money going to each job. But after second quarter, I always ask for more money through the state, and we usually get put on the list. And like last year, I think we got another 50,000. So we had up to 100,000 last year we got for grant money. So and going back, you know, with that lack of rain we've had a lot of new wells going into. A lot of deeper wells, a lot of the old ones, 30 feet, you know, was pretty average. Some of the new guys are putting wells in, they're going 60 to 80 foot on these, so. And a lot of that is going to, you know, people that got cattle or hogs
Get more
or whatever.
capacity.
Yeah, get more capacity for that, so. Other than that, that's about all I got for you guys today. So,
Okay. Budget and everything looking good?
budget's looking great,
Okay.
so right on track.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Thanks, Luke.
sir.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, Geraldine Greer, Recorder's Report. Good morning, Geraldine.
Good morning.
Morning.
Did you find a big pot of gold for us?
Not really, no, wish. Okay, so, on that report, you will see, I always do, like, what was this quarter and then the same quarter last year. And we're down this quarter. A lot of it has to do with revenue stamps. You know, that's about $3,000 worth for the revenue stamps. Just kind of down in every area, but we're hoping that'll pick up this next quarter or so. Nothing too serious, but it just kind of gives you a little idea of what it looks like from year to year. So, any questions on that part?
What percent of that do we get to keep? Or
Well,
majority?
if you see the county fees at the top, that's what we keep. The state fees are down below, that's what we pay the state.
Okay.
So the top part is what we keep, and then the bottom is what I pay the state.
Okay.
So even if you look at the state part, I mean, it was,
Theirs is down considerably compared to
yeah,
ours.
it's down considerably, yes, yes. So,
Okay.
we're still good. Just a few other notes. We sent out bright green cards to renew your recreational vehicles, ATVs, ORVs. Those are all due December 31st. If you do not renew those by December 31st, there's a $5 penalty fee on those. You can do it by mail, you can drop them in the drop box, you can come to the office, however you want to renew them. That's perfectly fine.
They need those to know that they're legal on the roads, correct?
Yes, yes, they need to have those renewed so that they're legal on the roads, and especially now when they can ride like in the city limits with some of those vehicles and that, they need to have those renewed.
Okay.
So they need to do that. On the hunting end of it, there were 23 West counties, which includes Shelby County, that for the shotgun season 1, which is December 7th through the 11th, you can only shoot antlered deer. So you used to be able to buy any sex, and you can only shoot antlered deer in the shotgun 1 season. Seems like the deer population is going down quite a bit, and we were just looking up like Shelby County compared to other counties. Yeah, we're way down compared to some other counties like Madison County. There's quite a few, but so
You're talking licenses?
yes, for the
Licenses issued,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
because of probably the deer population.
Well, the deer population, because in Madison County, we were looking at how many deer per square mile.
Oh,
And like in Shelby County, it was something like 7. And in Madison County, it was something like 40.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
It's timbered over there, so
right.
habitat's different.
Right. And we have heard reports of people saying they go out and they see deer in the river and, you know, and all this. So I don't know if there's still that blue tongue going around or...
EHD is, yeah.
They're finding
They're
them
finding them
again.
again.
I haven't found any yet.
With the drought, it's drought related.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And 3 months ago, we thought we were beyond that.
Right, I know.
Okay.
Nightmare.
and the only other thing then is the fee goal that we're doing to raise the fees for the recording. You should have all received something from Iowa County Recorder Association. explaining that.
Yep.
Probably not you, Mark, I think the supervisors did, I don't know if you received one too.
Very
But
thorough.
do you guys have any questions on that at all? What we're doing with that?
Make sure you get some key legislators on board.
Right, and we don't have a bill drafted yet, but they're working on that right now with Iowa Land Title Association and with the Bar Association.
Okay.
We're trying to come up with, if they have any ideas of what they want, you know, like if they want us to put the PIN number as we do this, and if they want us to have like an index legend where it has, you know, all the information right on the front page. So they're working with them to see if there's anything they need. So, yeah, so what we need from you is to spread the word with the legislators. I mean, just to be supportive, and whoever you talk to, you know, kind of.
I think you forward that to Holt too, didn't you?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah,
I visited with him about it.
yes. So they've been working hard on it, so hopefully they want to get a bill here in the next, probably by the end of the year, and so that
So the
we can.
recorders have a lobbyist?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's great.
so.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Good luck with that.
Yep. Thanks for your work on that too.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Next on report, Jordan Sanders EMS update report. Morning, Jordan.
Jordan? Morning.
Buried up with information the last few days, which is good.
It's good, right?
Yeah?
We're starting to get, everything is getting caught up with PCC. Had reports for July. They had started August. On Friday, I've now got August. I got that this morning. And I'm pushing them to get September done. They're waiting on clarification on something. And then they'll get September done as well, which will bring us as up to date as we can be.
Are we able to save those now? Yeah.
Yes, so I've got everything saved that they've got reported to us. I met with Christy for just over an hour yesterday, and we were looking at things. I attached what we had come up with yesterday.
Christy at the hospital?
Yes, she's also sitting in the back if any of you have any questions.
Okay.
I attached that report in the emails that I sent out last night. It appears that things are actually looking better than what they seem. It's just a time thing. It's just gonna take time to get it where it needs to be, but the numbers will eventually be
I gotta keep telling myself that too, because, you know, every report we've had the last 3-4 months, I keep talking about the revenues. But we also got thrown into this a few weeks into it when we were thinking it was gonna be a year.
year and a half.
So we started off with really not a lot of startup money, so we had to use what we had.
Right.
And then now with the billing, as you have laid out here, we didn't really start getting any revenues. We started in December of last year, we didn't start getting any revenues until really about April.
Correct.
And so we're behind the 8 ball there about, what, 5 months? So it
Yep.
looks like we're starting to catch up, but it's a slow pace.
It's a slow process, and there's some payers that just take more time than others.
Right.
But we're getting where we need to be. The numbers, you know, Christy does accounting.
Christy, why don't you come on in here, come up to the table, please?
And the numbers made sense to her. They look like a bunch of
Morning.
Good morning.
Don't be hiding back there. Pull a chair and come on
a
up.
bunch of confusing things to me. And she started just punching stuff in a bunch of different
Well, she's
places.
the expert. I appreciate your help
Yes.
and willingness to help with Jordan.
It's great to get as many eyes on this as we can.
Yeah, and you're one of our partners, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it really looks like it's just a lag in getting billing out, which isn't, we discussed how they do their billing and their,
Similar to what you guys experience at the hospital?
yeah, I mean, we process our own billing, so we
Right.
get it out a little bit quicker, but I think Jordan and the staff there are getting their information to PCC, they're just not very timely, but it looks like they've gotten caught up quite a bit.
How do we improve that?
the email that I got today said they are working on doing everything daily.
Okay.
They're entering daily reports now.
Okay.
So, as I talked to Christie yesterday, we'll be able to tell in a very short amount of time if that's true or not.
Okay.
So, she thought if that was...
You stay on them, though.
She thought if that was true, then maybe, paying 8%, the PCC is probably not a bad place to be at, as long as they are getting their billing done in a timely manner, then we might probably be sitting just fine through PCC.
I see you had a couple other recommendations in there also. You want to talk about them as far as billing?
Well, we really talked about looking at the accounts receivable to see if it was getting behind, to see if it's getting to be late. They need to watch that they get their billing done, because there's a lot of payers that require claims to be filed within 90
see that.
days. So and once it gets out of that timely filing, there's no way to get paid for it. So they really need to get that done. The other thing is there's private pay patients out there that that don't have insurance for this. We offer a discount. We're required to for some of the programs.
We be in the hospital?
Yes. So we're required to, so what we do is we match, what our insurance company doesn't pay, we take that off as a discount for patients. You're not under that same requirement, and with having limited data and experience so far, I wouldn't maybe go to the point that you're seeing that you're just you're gonna give a discount as high as what the insurance companies are taking at this point. So we kind of talked about, whatever you're comfortable with. So, that would be one suggestion. I did send the hospital's financial policy to kind of see how worrying that is. Our system automatically takes it off, so patients don't have to request it if they don't have insurance coverage. We also offer a prompt pay discount. I don't know if I'd go to that point at this point until you have more historical. That would be my suggestion. But that's where you can, but 82% of your accounts receivable of what they have on there has been filed within the last 30 days. So, it's not that VA is always slow in paying, as Julian has indicated. There are just some payers that are a lot slower in paying.
I say our percentage that we're receiving is, first of all, it's really close to the ballpark that you'd said a couple years ago would be, within a percent or two. And it's in the ballpark of what the report you did of counties around us, and Carroll's been at it for 50+ years. And I really thought theirs might be a little more than that because they have an in-house billing person.
I did too. But yeah, Jimmy said some are less than that 35, and some are a little bit more, so it averages out to about 35%.
Well, that helps us too, so in budget time, we don't over budget that revenue. I wanted to share something that I did too. Based on the revenues that we project, that we budgeted, we needed to bring in a little over $54,000 a month, okay? Up to this last report, we're bringing in, because of that massive amount we got last month, we brought in $64,000. So for the remainder of the year, we need to average 50. So if we can continue to do that, and it doesn't come in like you're used to it, but as I would expect it, at 50,000 give or take every month. It's like
up
the
and
last
down.
one. It's 195,000 one month, and then there's 4,000 the next month.
Right.
So it makes
Right,
it
like
just makes
Medicaid.
it difficult.
Like Medicare, I don't think we got anything from them last month. I got an email yesterday that we've got an EFT coming in of just over $40,000 for this month. So it fluctuates month to month. When one month might be 110, the next might be 18, and then the next might be 95. It's not consistent, but it averages.
It will be a little bit more consistent once they catch up on billing. So they've been behind, so that's why you see those peaks and valleys. But if they're doing your billing daily, it should pretty much get leveled out. The fluctuations will be based on the number of errands.
I'm sure she's been a wealth of knowledge helping you put things in place and things to watch for. hope you guys can continue that dialogue on a monthly basis or something.
Yeah, and we talked, now that I got those PCC reports, there was no sense
And how to
in,
read them.
there's no sense in taking 2 or 3 months worth. Once we got everything in, it's a lot easier to see and project out when you have more than 2 or 3 months of data, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, this makes me feel a lot better than I did a
Yeah.
month ago.
Good.
Awesome. Do you have any other red flags or maybe something? Because I can see by reading these 4 reports you send out, we have to continue to be creative. Because we just can't be complacent if this is okay. And especially with the building company, let them know that you know things not aligned. Do you have anything else?
I mean, it's really, when you outsource a service like that, you've got to stay on them a lot more because they don't have the vested interests and would be, so it's really,
Even if you
Jordan
just
and I
reach-
are gonna meet as soon as we get the August and September, because I think since the accounts receivable, it was so high at the end of July, you should have seen high revenue, high receipts in August and September,
Yeah,
so.
and I'd seen too what we budgeted for the tax revenue, and we were on the low side. We didn't overestimate, it was right at that, you know, so, and then we have another issue going on out there within the TIF districts that we're hopefully gonna get resolved here, but it's gonna take some legislation. I don't know if you wanna talk about that today or wait till the next meeting.
I was just gonna talk a little bit about
Okay.
it.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Appreciate your help.
Jordan's
Thank you
really
very much.
been helpful in getting the information, and he's asked a lot of good questions, so.
Good,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
Thanks, Christie.
Thank you.
So in the email that I didn't send yesterday that I thought I did, I've tried getting a hold of all 8 counties that have passed the essential services. I got a hold of 5. I put names and phone numbers to who I talked to, and if you guys had any follow-up questions or wanted to reach out to anybody. It appears that we're the only county that's actually running its own stand-up service. Everybody else is giving money to volunteers or a hospital base or running some quick response vehicles, but we're the only county that's actually running a full ALS service out of the recent 80 counties that have passed EMS is essential. So, as far as getting percentages on what they're receiving for billing revenues and who they're using isn't really in existence. So I talked with Jamie some more and Carol, that's where we got the 35%. He's been good to work with. I have been talking with Steve Green in Cass County. He's a board of supervisors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're working real hard on making EMS essential down there. I've been speaking with him a lot, trying to give him some pointers and things that we've done. And we have talked about the potential of if they can get it passed, and once they get up and running, maybe doing a joint billing person. And they can, having our own billing person between the 2 counties. I think that would,
Well, it's good to look at
I
options.
think that would be a good option for everybody involved. I think that would help bring in revenues and it would cost less at the end of the day. So, more things to think about. We ran 107 calls last month. We're averaging right around 110, 112 calls a month.
What did Medevac used to be?
About the same.
About the same.
It seemed like, to begin with especially, it seemed like our call volume was a little bit higher. But we're running about average. It also just depends on the weather, as crazy as that sounds. When it starts getting cold again, our call volume will go back up.
Slips and falls?
Slips and falls and colds and different things. Still doing county trainings, so that's going well. We're starting to work on our EMS conference that's coming up in February. Sioux City used to do a very big EMS conference, and they're no longer doing it due to costs. So that's probably going to increase our volume in Shelby County, which is good for Shelby County. We bring in 125 people for a weekend, so that brings in a lot to the county. We did lose an EMT to Council Bluffs Fire. He got a full-time job there, so I'm working on replacing the EMT. we opened it up, I had one application, so I'm gonna reopen it and go through a couple of different avenues for advertising. I'm gonna open it up through our state Iowa EMS Association page and see if we can't get some more interest in an EMT position. If not, we'll have to get creative and maybe hire a paramedic instead of an EMT, or an advanced EMT instead of an EMT. But budget-wise, I really want to, we need to hire an EMT. So there's a lot more paramedics out there that are working in the field rather than EMTs. So, and we're also looking at trying to host an EMT class this winter, at a countywide. Shelby's hosting one, they're kind of hosting an internal one. I think they might have one or two people outside of their department, but they're pretty much hosting an internal one. I'm gonna see if we can't get one opened up for Shelby County as a whole.
How many hours is that?
A lot.
6 months?
It's 3 months, 2 nights a week, and then one Saturday a month. So it's 120 plus hours.
120.
So, and then you have to take,
Big commitment.
it's a big commitment, and then you have to have continuing education every year on top of that. So, which is why we do the countywide trainings and we do the EMS conference, so people don't have to go outside of the county to get their training, which is very important. So, I have talked with Maverick Roofing. I got a quote. I need to try and get a hold of Brian again to add the insulation board. He didn't have that on there underneath, but I did send you guys the quote that I had for the roof, for the hail
And we'll be
damage.
talking about that more at the end of the
Yep.
meeting.
And then another thing I want to just touch on real quick, we're, you know, the voters in the county passed at almost 83% that we make EMS essential. And the tax money's starting to come in, but in some of the TIF districts, the money's not being released, just due to the Iowa code and it not being an essential. So we're working on some ways to try and see if we can get that money freed up. It's not a ton of money, but right now we're running on every penny we can get. So if we can figure out a way to free that money up and get it into us, it would be ideal.
Yeah, it's not the cities or even our county TIFs.
No, it's the
Tied up.
statewide issue.
Yeah, it's an oversight more
Yep.
or less, so but it's gonna take legislation to fix it. I think they'll get it fixed once people realize it's.
Oh, absolutely.
It's happening to every TIF district that has EMS in the state, so it's not just us.
Well, and not only that, but, you know, when I was talking to those other counties, they're all running into the problem of, you know, EMS is it's an expensive venture to be in, but it's one of the most important ventures a county can be in as well. And the money generated in the tax levy isn't really enough to adequately service.
Right.
And so every penny is very crucial.
Right. Yeah, and the expectations are high.
Exactly.
When I dial 911, they expect you to be there.
Yep.
So,
And we want to be there.
yeah,
So.
no, okay. Appreciate your report. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Next up, Jay Ring, Weed Commissioner Report. Morning.
Morning.
You're the guy bringing the frost, so weeds
Yep,
right?
Speaking of weather, I was just gonna say first, weather this spring was crazy. And then everybody had a lot of stuff going on with the storm, but but I was just gonna say it just felt like we were chasing our tail there for a while as fast as everything was growing. You know, and everybody had the problems in the spring, and as far as a weed commissioner, they had a lot of stuff going on and they still took time to take care of the weeds, so kudos to them guys. Really, I just made a few phone calls. I didn't have to write any letters, so that's good. And all the phone calls I made, they took care of the problem right away. Like one guy called twice, and they did it right away. So that's good. We'll have to get in the middle of all that, but
I have a question,
yeah.
and I keep forgetting to ask Chris about this, but over the years, I've had some calls, not many, and a couple of them I've had either call you or Dan did it, but if there's a weed problem along, I'm talking the rock roads, and the neighbor, you know, he mows them or sprays them, but then across the road, that guy does nothing, who's responsible for that? And
Oh,
how enforceable is it?
where they started, I mean, as far as enforceable, I gotta get a call, but, yeah, I mean, if I call and then the letter goes out, and, I mean, I would say it's the guy that has them.
But I mean, is it the farmer's responsibility, the land that borders the road, that's his, is he supposed to mow it or
Or
spray
you're
it?
talking in the right of way.
Yeah, I'm talking in the right of way, the
Oh,
road right of way.
you know, I
Or
would
is it
say,
the county's
I would
responsibility?
say, yeah, it'd be more my responsibility there, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
but we don't go out and mow along the road then, do we?
If I do, if there's a problem like that, I will, yeah,
Okay.
or spray or
Okay.
whatever I gotta do, yeah.
Okay,
But, I mean, some of the places gotta get brought to my attention too.
yes.
But yeah,
Thank you,
that would
okay.
be me, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Something exciting is I wrote a grant for a different spray truck, and it's through the IRVM, well, actually it's through the Iowa Living Roadway Trust Fund. But you have to have an IRVM plan. That's the one we just renewed, so. They reviewed that and awarded me almost 20% of the cost of the truck, so that's pretty good.
Good job.
Yeah. And then,
It's getting more competitive too. so-
yeah, it took some time, but it's worth it there. Went to the weed commissioner meeting in March, a lot of good speakers, good meeting to communicate and listen to other weed commissioners. And I was gonna say, we started spraying in April, kinda talked about the weather, chasing our tail a little bit there for a while, but we got over 90% of the county, so that's really good. I did notice a increase in Canadian thistles and other varieties of thistles, so we went through them areas quite a bit. While we've been doing it last week and this week, you know, fall's the best time to spray them, so I've been trying to get after them, I guess, but use pretty much the same chemicals I used last year. I took one out, adjusted the rates on the one we had. I was getting some burn underneath some of the trees. I got some phone calls, and of course I don't like that either. But it's hard to get a good kill on some of the trees without sacrificing a little grass. But I took a product out, and that helped. Not getting quite as good, but I'm still monitoring it. It's a lot easier on the burn or whatever we have underneath the trees. So I think I made that guy happy and me happy too. I don't like saying it either. Something I want to talk about is I want to come up with a no spray policy, and I'll work on it and get something back to you guys. But wherever I have these no spray areas, there's pretty problematic trees and noxious weeds in these areas. So, you know, I'd like for them, if they did have them, to be compliant and keep everything clean. And I mean, as far as
So there needs to be some responsibility on that end.
absolutely. I mean, they're there, and I mean, I kind of got my hands tied for if I can do anything in there. I guess I can talk to them, which I have, but they say no most of the time, which is understandable. I respect that. But I want to have something in place where if we have it, if you get them signs, you got to be in compliance of what we expect. So
Okay,
I want to work on that, and I'll get back to you on that.
okay.
Like I said, I think we're doing pretty good shape. I encourage all the landowners to keep their eyes out for noxious weeds and let me know if you have any problems. Other than that, I think it's about all I got, and pretty similar to last year. So.
Seedings look good until it went dry.
Early, yeah, I quit. Well, we got,
August.
did you say 3/10 of rain?
Yeah,
I didn't. I said I'm not gonna do any more.
Right.
just wasted.
Yeah, but no, the early stuff is great. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jay.
Do you have any other department head reports out there?
I got one.
Okay.
They're gonna put the new roof on the courthouse in one day on Friday. So the
This Friday?
courthouse parking lot will be closed.
This Friday.
Yep. I encouraged all courthouse employees to park at least a block away from the courthouse and to leave room for business patrons up around the square with all the extra cars. Elevate.
That should bring rain, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
I know. I thought the same thing.
Okay, that's a good update. Anybody else have anything out there? Okay, we'll move on to the next. MAPPA, supposed to be bringing in a PowerPoint presentation. There she is, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Let me move
Maya,
this
is that
over.
correct?
Mia.
Mia. Okay,
I'm the editor.
Oh, thank you.
Charlie, you don't know her, do you?
Huh?
You don't know where it is?
Oh, I think we met once or twice.
Charlie's on the map, I think, right?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah.
well, thanks for showing,
Yeah,
coming today.
thanks for having me. I'm here to talk a little bit about the long-range transportation plan that we're working on. It's a document that gets updated every 5 years. And, oh, I was
Not
looking
working?
at the slides.
They're not moving?
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, so I'll quickly go over what MAPPA is, what we do, a little bit about the long-range transportation plan update, and basically why I'm here. So MAPPA, Metropolitan Area Planning Agency, is what we call a council of governments. It's basically local governments coming together and acting as a policy board, mostly for transportation issues. We work on other things like housing, but mostly I'm here to talk about transportation. And when there's a urban area of 50,000 people or more, usually what's formed is a metropolitan planning organization, or MPO. So Omaha Council Bluffs area has an MPO, and those are the darker counties, Douglas and Sarpy, and the urbanized portion of Potawatomi. But then in Iowa, the Iowa DOT has divided the state into 18 RPAs, so regional planning affiliations. And so we're also in charge of RPA 18, Regional Planning Affiliation 18, as Charles knows. And so we mostly deal with transportation issues for RPA 18. And so every 5 years, like I said, we update a long-range transportation plan. And it's basically looking at all aspects of transportation in the 4-county area. So I guess going back to the map here, Harrison, Shelby, the non-urban portion of Potawatomi, as well as Mills counties. So that's what my maps are of, today. And then in 2045, we did the last update, so now we're planning ahead for the 2050 long-range transportation plan. It's a federal requirement for the MPOs, for the Metropolitan Planning Organizations, and it's also an Iowa DOT requirement for the 18 RPAs that I mentioned. And so our update is due November next year. And so basically what it does is it discusses the needs in the region, and that's everything transportation related. It could be highways, it could be bridges, airports, rail, freight transport, bike trails, kids getting to school safely, all sorts, anything that's transportation. And we look at what changes over the time frame that we're considering. And then it's also really important to get input from the public. We don't know everything that's going on in all 4 counties, so we need to hear from you, basically. And so last time we had these goals. Preservation was the first one, basically maintaining what's already there. Safety was really important, economic development, so taking into account when you're doing transportation projects, how that's going to affect economic development, maybe increase tourism, travel, things like that. Giving people options, especially people who may have difficulty driving, who may not be able to drive, and then taking into account how communities grow when planning transportation projects. So those were the main categories last time. Looking at the data last time, some of the main findings were that there's an increase in farming, but also the parcels are more scattered. And so that involves more travel, more burden on secondary roads, maybe an increased need for maintenance, things like that. Also, there's been more dispersal. People travel further to go to work, and most trips are made alone in a vehicle. And we also found that more urban centers are growing and more rural areas are shrinking in population. And we looked at the 70-year period between 1940 and 2010, and overall in this region there was a decrease in population, but also the population is aging overall. So we'll see if there's a change in those trends this time. Those are the goals on the left that I mentioned from last time. They're pretty similar this time with the help of the RPA committee. We kind of reprioritized a little bit, and we also added a resilience piece to the preservation to deal with things like natural disasters. For example, there's been a lot of flooding, things like that. So how do we deal with, if roads are flooded, what's the alternative? And safety and security were ranked as the highest priority. But again, transportation options was important, having those different choices. And then
economic vitality, like I said, developing transportation projects, keeping in mind the need for economic growth, and then land use. And as far as sustainability, it's
Interrupt
things.
just for a minute.
Yeah.
Mark. Emergency.
In rural areas, air pollution isn't really a consideration, but things like energy conservation, things like that might contribute to overall economic benefits. So that's how the goals are prioritized and ranked this time. And then right now, we're in the beginning stages. Like I said, we're seeking public input, stakeholder input. We're going to be working on the first draft starting in early spring, late winter, up until the summer. Then we'll have a 1-month public input or public comment period where people can review the draft. And then we'll finalize it and submit it to Iowa DOT in the fall. So the reason I'm here basically is to find out what's important to you. We have 2 maps. We have one for current concerns, and then we have another one for future needs, projects that you think the region may need in the future. What's important to you? What do you think needs to be included? And this is a 20-year. This is a plan that looks forward 20 years into the future. So we need you to think kind of long-term. It's a plan for the whole region that is gonna focus on what's needed long-term, what needs to be prioritized. And we have the goals here categorized in different colors because I have some stickers that I'm gonna stick around for a little bit after the meeting if anybody wants to provide input. I have some stickers that are color-coded this way, so if you have a concern related to safety and security, you can put a red sticker where you think you want us to pay attention, and then if you have a concern related to economic vitality, you put a green sticker and so on. If you don't want to do colors, we also just have regular stickers. You can put a number on it, and I also have some sticky notes and pens. So if you just want to write your comment, you don't want to worry about where to put it on a map, just feel free to make a note, as long as I have the input so that we can include it when we're working on this. And then I have some flyers that I can hand out with a QR code with a website. We have a survey online that actually has a really nice map. Like you can zoom in on the exact location and click on exactly where you want us to pay attention to your issue.
Is the main focus on state roads?
Anything transportation related. Usually we focus on things that get federal funding.
So even secondary roads, or rock roads? Because I live on a rock road farm, and the thing I've seen the most change in the last 20 years is a couple things. One, there used to be 300 to 500 bushel wagons go down the road, and a trailer pulled behind a pickup. Now it's all semis, and it's semis bringing livestock in and out. It's semis bringing, even now, a lot of farmers have gone away from commercial fertilizer for 100%, not totally, but now they're bringing in compost and manure. The rock's just getting beat to heck. And so it's the weight. And then, of course, that's harder on bridges,
Right.
Culverts,
Right.
the roads themselves. And so
This is exactly what we want people to write. Just click on this or scan the QR code. There's space. I mean, there are questions, but there's also space to write exactly what you're saying.
And then you got these big manure wagons. They can come to my farm, so, but
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, it adds up. Yeah.
they don't have any license or paying tax, and
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep up.
understand, yeah. Yeah, that's why we need to hear.
So is that QR code out on your social
Yeah.
media right now?
Yeah, and I can hand out, I have flyers, I can just hand them out right now.
I'll just be,
And,
easier to share, because
Yeah,
if
it's,
you look at our labor shed study,
Yeah, Chris and I.
And then if, you know, if something comes to mind after you leave, and you have the,
yeah, it's just,
QR code.
if you look at our labor shed study, much of the area that you're covering
Yeah, if you would
is
just relay that.
in our commuter
Wait.
areas locally. You
We have a
know,
meeting.
make sure they have input, because otherwise they may not even hear about the fact that you're doing this.
Especially in the spring, how do we keep, for this weights thing, how do we keep heavy weight off when they need to be doing embargoes, you know, for just a couple weeks, that they don't have a lot of teeth.
yeah, so if you don't have time today or something comes to mind after you leave, just please, and then we have our email address, so if you have any questions, just feel free to email or call.
Very
But
good.
yeah, we need to hear from you, because we can't be in all 4 counties at once, and we need as much detail as possible, so.
We'll meet tomorrow, so I'll
Yes.
bring some of that weight stuff up.
Yeah, please, yeah. And like I said, I'll stick around, so is it okay if I leave these here for a couple minutes? Okay, yeah, I'll be
Yep.
here, so, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time. Next on the agenda, supervisors, you have any committee updates?
We had a hotel motel tax meeting last week, and we had 8 grants and approved $16,316 worth of grants for hotel motel tax. And great projects, mainly paying for advertising and things like that to make these events go on. So if anybody has a project coming up, get a grant out there, get applied for.
Okay.
I have West Central meeting tonight and Napa meeting tomorrow, so then I'll bring that weight thing we were talking about
Okay,
to her tomorrow.
okay, that'd be great. Okay.
The head guy is usually there, so.
Yep, okay. I've been working on a tornado report summary. We just got some information back from FEMA, SBA, what was distributed here, and then we're also, I'm on the tornado relief fundraising board, and we're allocating money now. I'm not finished with that yet, so hopefully at the next meeting, I'll have that for you. Some pretty interesting data in that.
I bet
So,
it is.
yeah. Anyway, and then I've been working on some TIF issues, one with the EMS, that issue that Jordan talked about, and also we have some TIF districts out in our county that they're 30 years old and longer, and we're trying to address some of them. I've been met with the school system, and I went to a meeting in Erling last night, went very well. I think it's an educational thing. So, other than that, that's about all I got now. Don't have any new pipeline information at this time. So, waiting for a lot of court cases to start developing. So, with that,
Any more on the South Dakota thing?
no, actually, they said a couple months ago, because they got denied the permit in South Dakota, they being Summit last year. And by July, they were thinking to reapply. They still haven't reapplied yet. So, I don't even want to speculate why. They're in a waiting mode. It could happen today or 6 months from now, but they're waiting in North Dakota. They've already reapplied there, waiting for a ruling there. And just remember, they cannot start construction in Iowa until they have permits in North and South Dakota. And they have to have a sequester site. They don't even have that permit yet in North Dakota. So they have a lot of work to do yet. So, okay, move on. Todd Deline, Shelby County Chamber report. Oh, excuse me. Do you have that? Mark was going to do a wellness update. Thank you. I guess while you're looking for that, I'm just going to say Melissa's been very good about getting updates out to the department heads, and the deadline to have your assessment done, anybody that's on, any of the employees that are on county health insurance, you need to have your assessment done and a physical, and you've known this since January. You have to get this done in order for, we offer, if we have 100% participation, we offer $200 bonuses because we get a 5% discount, which amounts to tens of thousands of dollars. We've been meeting those goals the last few years, and she's been giving an update to department heads, so it's your responsibility to make sure these things get followed through. And she was gonna prepare an update for today.
So he had all that on there, and then he has, less than 49% have their fax forms for physicals turned in as of now, and 78% have completed the online assessment.
Okay?
So they need to get on it.
Work to do.
Yep.
Yep.
And will also, if you have your paperwork in, but on the other end, they're not getting it processed fast enough, that's not gonna be held against you. Okay? As long as you have your assessment done and your physical done. Okay? That you have proof that you've submitted that. Okay? Anybody have anything else? Or did you have something, Alex, on this?
I guess my only question was, Melissa does do a very good job of giving us the numbers of per department. My question was, is there a way that we could find the employees that aren't doing it, like the names? I know that's been brought up in the past, but like, for me, if I were to get a report saying I have 6 employees that haven't completed it, well, I don't know which 6 it is, and who I need to be telling to get their stuff done. I don't know if that's a HIPAA issue that we
I
can't.
can't answer that. Do you know that really fast?
Early on, we could, but then it became a HIPAA issue, so I'm not sure where it is now.
Yeah. It would help the department heads
Right.
know what employees need to step it up so that we could.
Everybody will know when they find out who it was that wasn't.
Right,
I think
right.
you'll just have to do a general, hey, you better get on it.
And that's what we do is,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I've been doing with the dispatch, and I haven't had an issue in the past, but
Right.
it just, we
It
have,
penalizes everybody else.
right.
Yep.
It just would make it a little easier if we knew, oh, hey, we need to
Yeah,
target
I'd
these.
agree. I don't have that answer.
There's just
Have you
something-
asked Melissa for that?
Yeah, she said they're not allowed to give out names, and I know, like Bryce said, that in the past they did, then they didn't, and I didn't know if it was still a no, or how that worked.
It's still that way.
Okay. That was all I had.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? So we'll know where it's at the next meeting. Okay?
Hopefully they get it done.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's all I
Mark had?
Nope.
Okay. We'll have it reported, like I said, for that next meeting. Okay, thanks. Todd? For the second time, good morning. Good morning.
A couple of calendar items and then some meetings that are coming up. Just a reminder to the general public that actually a week from this coming Saturday, so October 26th, and the weather, at least right now, looks much better than what we had last year, so we're looking forward to it, will be the Harvest Fest downtown. So we'll have, the movie will start at 9:30 in the morning. It's a $1 movie. It's called Haunted Mansion, kids movie, and then from 10:30 to 1 we have games, we have hot dogs, we have pumpkins, we have petting zoo, we have a lot going on, and then it wraps up with a candy walk from 1 to 1:30. So we're just taking some time this week just to make sure through all sources we can to remind folks to get their kids down there, and we should have a great time. And along with that, one of the things that we started a couple of years ago is the chamber, we have a bake sale during the Harvest Fest. And all the proceeds from that bake sale are used to buy pool punch tickets for kids in need, so they can go to the pool during the summer. So if anybody has bake sale items they'd like to donate, give us a call at the chamber office, 755-2114. And if you just like sweet stuff, come down a week from Saturday, and it's a free will donation, so be very free with your will and donate all you can. There's a babysitter training actually coming up on October 25th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Shelby County Extension Office. They will be providing lunch, and it is $20. It's open to all youth who are babysitting age, but you do have to register by this Friday. So parents, if you think you have kids that are ready to babysit and need some training, make sure you get online by Friday and get to the Extension's website and register your child. But great to see that we have that training available. It'll help with daycare, so.
Yes.
A couple of blood drives, Monday the 21st at MER2. You do need to have an appointment. It'll run from 8 to 2 and be in the oval room. You need to give Ruth a call at 755-4316 to get that appointment. And then on Wednesday the 23rd, they'll do one from 7:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon at the Harlan High School. There you have to call and make an appointment, call the high school office at 755-3101. Now, the couple of meetings coming up. This one is for folks in the county who own commercial buildings, specifically maybe in the downtown regions of the community that they're located in, and they want to give that building a facelift. They can use this money to rehabilitate, they can use this money to add to, so maybe they've got a retail location downstairs and they want to rehab the upstairs and turn it into an apartment. Or they can use this money to just get rid of the building and replace it with something else. But the key is...
Who's this through?
This is through Iowa Economic Development, but the key is your project has to be a catalyst for the community. So whether it's going to attract more people down into our shopping region in town because, you know, we've got a nice building, or we've got a new Airbnb for them to use, you know, downtown or something like that. So it's got to be a catalyst for the community. You can receive up to $100,000 through this grant.
What's a grant?
Yeah, and the way that it works is you start your project, get it, you know, you get your project approved by Iowa Economic Development. You start your project, you get to about the 50% mark. They will come and take a look, and if you're moving along, then you can draw 60% of that $100,000. Then you get the rest at the end when the project's complete and has been approved. The way this works is, since it's a reimbursable grant, it actually flows through the city of where the person lives who receives the grant. Now, all of this is going to be covered during that workshop that's going to be held on Friday. So this is Friday the 18th from 10 to noon at the Turkelson Center. Like I said, you do need to sign up, so go out to Iowa Economic Development and look for Catalyst Grant Workshop on their events thing, and you just click on it. And that's mostly for head count because they're going to provide lunch. So,
Is there employer needed contribution, or can they just do it for 100? Is it a match?
If they can do they won't. It's more of a match. So, if your project is only $100,000, you won't receive $100,000 in grant money. But
is that where that 60% comes in?
No, that's just as you
that's
can draw it.
Okay.
But it's just based on what you're doing, and you know, IEDA will tell you, okay, you're gonna have to have this in place.
So you have to have some skin in the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's a really good workshop. If you happen to not be able to go to it because it is short, you know, notice we've been putting it out there for folks, but it'll probably be recorded. They usually are, so you will be able to go out online and watch it there too. It's better in person, of course, because you can ask questions and everything.
Okay. Okay.
And then the other meeting that I want to make folks aware of is there's going to be an AI tools learning event that's being planned right now for October 30th. It's going to start at noon at the Turkelson Center. And during the workshop event, you'll learn how your business can use AI you can create marketing materials, you can create directive sales messages to potential clients of yours, and you can reduce the amount of time you spend with paperwork yourself. You know, filling out forms and things like that. There are tools out there that will help you do that rather quickly. So details will follow soon regarding the workshop. We're still putting the planning together, but mark it on your calendar because it becomes more and more interesting every day. Now we know that on request for proposal that companies are sending out, creative companies are not only filling out their paperwork and sending it back in, but they're also almost creating a podcast out of their answers and sending that in. Because they know the person who's reviewing the RFPs would rather listen to it than have to read it, you know, so it just raises their flag a little bit, yeah, as far as getting chosen. So there's a lot of different things going on out there. All right, that's it from the table for today.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Yep.
Next, secondary roads report. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How's Chris?
I'm fine, how are you all?
Are you in charge of dust control out in the roads?
No. I'll revert that to you, if you want to be the czar of the dust. Don't have a whole lot today, which is good. We've had a long meeting and a lot of information. So just a few quick updates on what we've done. Right now, we are down on 150th Street east of Shelby, regrading, pulling in the shoulders. Hopefully, everybody will be done by tomorrow afternoon and we'll be out of there. So that was a necessary stretch to redo. I think it looks a lot better and it should be a lot more manageable and better traveling going forward for everyone. So remove the edge ruts and just regrade it.
Find any moisture?
No, that has been an issue. We've been getting water from the city of Shelby to place on it as we've been doing it. So
Okay. So
that was great.
When the next rain event comes.
Right, and it looks like they pulled the rain out for the weekend. So
I've seen that.
dry, and we
Maybe
have.
Wendy.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We did have a concern down on M56 north of Marnie, the stretch that we pulled in. Since we haven't had any rain, there has been some soft spots that have developed in it. Just from the traffic going over it, it's tough. So
Yeah.
if everybody can kind of watch those, we're doing the best we can to keep them closed up and manageable, but until we get some decent moisture,
They'll really
they'll
get
stay.
soft too.
Yeah, so hoping for that in the future.
Okay.
As far as the bridge crew, they're still down by the Park Bridge in Alcorn working. Hopefully 2 to 3 weeks, we should be done with that, complete and out of there.
That's
So
pretty good.
yeah, it's a big structure and they've been busy. And of course, just in general right now, my department is facing vacations and guys that want to go help farm and everything else. So few people down, but progressing as best we can. So once they get through with that bridge, we'll still move to another structure and go as long as we can until frost kicks us out for the year. So just see what the fall does and where we go. I need to talk to Jake and see exactly what he thinks we can accomplish before. So move to something else.
It's been good weather for projects.
It has. The dry is great for that.
Yeah.
We don't have to fight the mud and down in the creek, so.
Watching Kevin fix that slough, I'm like, how in the world is he getting that dirt to stick?
I know, and that was another thing. It's just terribly dry and we can't figure it, so.
Right.
And with the no rain, we are not actively blading
No,
much of anything
I don't
right
want
now.
you to.
It's way too dry. The more you do, the worse it gets, it seems. So, I do ask if there's a spot somebody has that is terrible.
Terrible
let us,
dashboard.
yeah, let us know. We will try and address it as best we
That's
can.
fine.
Just to
It's tough.
improve it. You know, it'll come right back within a day or so, I'm sure. But if it needs it, let us know. We'll see what we can do.
Okay.
The only other thing I have, just to see if, remind people here, the other excavator did move to Oak Road north of F58. So east of Corleone and north, excuse me. We're going to ditch and regrade some of that road also, so if anybody's traveling down there, if they can just plan a little extra time and watch out.
Okay.
It'll be a longer work zone, kind of like Redwood was, that we did. I think we want to try and build up one of the corners and move quite a bit of dirt, so.
Okay.
Just ask for patience.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate your update.
yeah, other than that, that's what the road department's up to.
Okay.
Thanks, Thanks,
you.
guys.
Next is resolution 2024-33 to set a date for public hearing on proposed amendment to Shelby County Urban Renewal Area. We're looking about adding to our TIF area the new construction going on for the project right east of 59 south of town for Agrland FS. It's been a practice of this board for many years. Any of our matrix projects, which is the animal confinements, if they're off on a rock road, we will tip both sides of that road so that that road can be a focus to keep the road up because there's so much more truck traffic. Make sure bridges are legal, culverts are in good repair, and then by us doing that, the hope is to build tax base with, and you see it a lot, once one animal confinement goes up, there's a chance there could be 1 to 4 coming in the near future, or bulk bins, lagoon tanks, you know, it's a growth area. And so we want to focus in on that. We also have done like the Hancock Drain east of Corley. We tipped that too to help with that road. We tipped where Farm Service Co-op is up by Defiance, and we paved part of that entry up there to keep that up. So that's a reason for this. It's to help the infrastructure of the road system with the hopes, even like Co-op did up there. They've added so much more since then, which adds to the tax base. And these TIF districts all will be a maximum of 20 years, and sometimes they're less. We initially put the road in for the dairy, and that was right before you and I got on the board, and put a base in. I think we spent about $1 million up there. That district is coming off, might be something the board will want to look at in a few years, renew it. Then the valuation that has increased in that area will go on to the other taxing districts, the way TIF works. So that's what we're looking to do here with the Agrland one down there. What did Mark have for a date?
For the hearing,
For the hearing,
November 19th.
November 19th, okay? This is a requirement anytime you amend or start a new urban renewal project. So, anybody else have anything to add?
Nope, I can make a motion for November 19th.
Okay, first, go back to the, to approve the TIF certification.
The public hearing,
On the upcoming,
all we're doing here is setting a public hearing date for the proposed amendment,
go ahead with that.
okay?
Charlie made a motion, I'll second.
Okay, for November 19th, Charlie made the motion, Bryce made the second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And then I know Mark's also working on part of this process is you have a consultation meeting, since it's within 2 miles of any city, they have to be notified and set up a date, time, okay?
Okay, so the, approval of the TIF indebtedness certificate for the upcoming valuation process that we do in December.
Yep, that's the next one, right? Approve the TIF debt amount for
Okay.
future collections.
I always got it, okay,
Yep.
it's backwards on here.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Okay,
You
got
kind
it.
of got thrown in the middle of things. So, yeah. So, would you want to speak on that? Do you have that amount?
Yeah, the amount spent, the amount spent on qualified projects in fiscal year '24 was $224,028. The specific projects where the money was spent are listed in the county's TIF ordinance.
Yep. This is an annual report we have to do every year, I think probably, it's December sometime, it's the 1st or 15th or something, that we have to certify that debt to be collected down the road here, so that's what all we're doing here. And all of our TIF areas in the county are for secondary roads, so all of this is about the projects I just talked about earlier. It's on those areas, okay? Do I have a motion to approve the TIF debt to be certified?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Bryce. Anything else I'm forgetting there? Karen? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried, thank you. Next up, we're gonna, Brent Sheevy, come on up here. We invited Brett to come in today with the storm damage we had from the tornado on April 26th and in June with the hailstorm. ICAP is our main provider. The agency takes care, they're our local agent for that. And we had multiple claims and wanted to make sure department heads were getting their bids because ICAP sent out, a month or so ago, an estimate of what they come up with for the buildings. And I visited with them, and Brent has too, and they said, we need to get a bid, and if the bid is higher, of course, we'll work with you and the contractor to make that work, and if it's lower, of course, it's gonna come down, you know, it works both ways. We have a deductible. We need to get this wrapped up, guys, is where we're at with this. I know there's a few hanging out there, and so I would like to invite the department heads that are still waiting out there to, now's the time to, if you have any issues on it, update us where you're at, and if Brett could be of any service there. Brett, excuse me.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's pretty much all what Steve said. Timing, anytime you have a significant storm, they understand it takes longer than a one-off. That's a common question we get is how long do I have? And we always say as long as you're communicating with the adjuster and it's reasonable, they'll work with you. If you just go radio silent and expect 3 years later to come in with a receipt, they're not gonna, handle that very favorably. So they know that some of these things you're gonna have to wait till spring. That's common and normal. But you should have a documented conversation with the adjuster where they say, hey, we need to wait till spring. They respond, yes, that's no problem, and everybody's on the same page. In terms of the bids, yes, the adjusters are using software that doesn't always account for everything that's damaged. It's no different than an auto that when you tear into it, there might be, underlayment that's, and sheeting that needs replaced that they can't see until you tear into it. So it's just the documentation on that, coordinating with the adjuster. That's the main things, and kind of like what Steve already echoed, if there's questions on, hey, what do I do, how do I send it, they need to route it through us, we can always be that intermediary to help them get it to the right person. I would say your job and our job is always to be, I'll say, the liaison of, if there's a question and a concern, let us know. Otherwise, they just need to be communicating with the adjuster and going along. The second there's a frustration, confusion, misunderstanding, that's where they get us involved and say, hey, is this right? How can you help? The annex building, obviously, that sold, there's some questions on the deductible and how that was, which is a great example of providing clarity, so.
Yeah. If you have any, like 1 or 2 questions, you don't know where to go or help, bring them up now, or if you think the board needs to be involved. Otherwise, I recommend that if you have any questions,
direct them to me.
Go over to Brett, visit with him, or send him an email, but let's get these things done, okay? Is there anybody out there have any specific questions or don't know where to go, or anybody out there? I seen Kenny was out there with the golf course. Do you have any?
Yeah, at this point, it's been long enough. If you don't have 98% of the kind of the basic details ironed out, you need to get to that point. There's always a little bit of a waiting on a contractor or a report to come through, but it should be 95 to 98% done, not fixed, but the stuff prior to the actual work being done needs to either have happened or happen very soon.
I know Mark has the bid in it for the sheriff's department, and it was considerably more, so I don't know if he's visited with you about that yet.
Not yet.
But Jeanette needs to know that at ICAP. And then I know Jordan's working with the EMS building. One thing was left off, you probably heard that earlier, so he needs to get you that bid and see where that's at.
Yeah, and that's where we just remind everybody, and understandably so, it's not that we aren't willing to help, we absolutely are.
No, it's not that.
I know that, I'm for some of the department heads, occasionally we'll get a comment of, well, I thought you took care of that. We're kind of left in the dark unless the concern's brought to us. So if something's low, I'll just pick on Mark, then I'll say it's Mark's responsibility to say, hey, contractor, hey, adjuster, here's the discrepancies and difference. Can the two of you that have the expertise talk and sort this out? And then, again, I'll just say it's Mark and I's job at that point to just make sure that conversation is happening so that it gets settled. Because
Or did
most
something
of the
accidentally
time,
get left off?
correct,
You know?
or, hey, they used 19 gauge steel instead of 29, and those things happen, so. But that's where I would say your department head's responsibility lies, is making sure that communication just doesn't stop.
Okay.
And 30 days goes by and it's, well, where are we at on that? And nobody's
Yeah,
talked.
yeah. So department heads, your responsibility to be talking with
Just make sure the
Brent here.
communication is happening with the
Right.
adjuster and the contractor that's doing the repair, replacement, et cetera, so that it's continuing and not just getting left. Again, if it's, contractor says, hey, you're on my radar, but it'll be spring, that's fine. But that contractor should have a bid into us. That bid should be sent into ICAP for review, and if there's any conversation that needs to happen over the next month so that it's kind of finalized, that needs to happen yet this fall. That doesn't wait until March or April of next year.
Correct. Okay, the second thing, as Brent to be here for today, was our insurance has changed so much, the landscape, especially the last year with the county. We used to have a $1,000 or $2,000 deductible for these hail claims, wind damage. Now it's 2% the value that we have on the building. So it changes considerably. And from a business standpoint, not to solve that problem today, but I didn't know if Brent had any ideas how the county, moving forward, budgeting, how we could self-insure our deductibles, start saving for that, like we do with our health insurance for our employees. It takes a few years to get that built up, but what would that look like, or how should we do that?
Right, there's two different topics. I'll address kind of that more, one of holding money back separately. So the ICAP pool did it with every member, not just Shelby County and not just half of them, and I know you guys know that. Some of it was in the timing, and part of the reason that I suggested we move to a 2/1 effective date, which you guys said you were okay with, was to have a little more proactive timing. The problem with the deductible last year is they sent us notice that there was going to be some sort of wind hail deductible, but they didn't even really tell us what it was until after January 1st. The only reason I bring that up is the city and the school with EMC, who is the other big writer of government municipalities, has a similar percentage deductible. But you can then go out to the excess markets. Everybody's heard of Lloyd's of London, who are, I'm sure, an arm of a famous person, or J-Lo's bud or whatever. And you can get what's called a wind buy down. So if our deductible is a flat amount, say it's $100,000, we can say, hey, we need to buy it back down to 10. So we're buying a $90,000 insurance product. We can do the same thing with percentage deductibles.
Okay.
So, but we have to have the quote from ICAP to send it to Lloyd's, otherwise they don't know how to price it. And last year we didn't have it, so we couldn't get it because we didn't have it.
Okay.
That's not anybody's fault, I'm not blaming ICAP for that, there's so much going on in the industry, but this year we should have that. So then what you guys will
call
need.
that insurance?
It's
Just
a buy down, deductible buy down. The hospital has done it for quite a while, again, I bring them up because they're another governmental entity that's public, the school has done it,
Okay.
et cetera. Some
We need to look
people
at
don't
that.
do it, yep, definitely will, already knew that we would.
Okay.
The other part of that you guys will want to think through, and generally I kind of proactively, I'll say make a decision in the quote, because it's just trying to help guide, is even though it's a percentage, you can back into a flat amount. So if you have $100,000 or $1 million building and it's 1%, you can kind of back into the flat amount. Well, if you've got a $50,000 building, we don't need to find a buy down on a deductible for a building that small, because the percentage still isn't that big of a deal.
Like the courthouse.
Correct, so generally it's our bigger, depending on the entity, in your guys' case, I'll say it's gonna be your biggest 5 to 8 buildings that you'll say, hey, we need a buy down for these bigger buildings where we're gonna have a deductible of over $50,000, and it might be a couple $100,000 of a deductible. So we'll take the property schedule and quote to Lloyd's of London, say, hey, for these 5 to 8 buildings, here's the building value, here's the flat deductible that we would like to get to, and they'll give us 2 options. A lot of times we've seen 50, to be honest, is more of the norm. They will price it down to 25, and we'll get a rate for that. Sometimes people psychologically struggle with that. It's one of those things that you have to move past where the market is. Really, it's no different than we've talked about in the past of going to ICAP and saying, hey, if we raise our deductible, what's the savings? This is just this in reverse, but they're shedding that risk over to Lloyd's. So we'll look at it as a total pricing and say, hey, if we have a $25,000 deductible, or a 2% wind hail, here's the pricing difference, and what do you want to do? Flat is so much easier to budget and manage, especially from your guys' perspective. It's the percentages become the norm on wind hail, and we're buying it down to flat through these products. Yes, we'll have that for the 2/1 renewal that we talk about in January.
Okay, so you'll be looking at bringing us some options?
Yes.
That you think would fit us in January?
Yep, yep. We've got to get the quote from ICAP with the pricing and the limits, so
So
we
probably
send
the
that out.
second meeting in January is the first one, is usually our business one and everything.
Sure. Yep, we'll bring it with the insurance stuff. That or I would bring it late December even, give you guys some time to review it, and we could follow up at a second meeting and make
Okay.
decisions.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The second part in terms of how you budget and set back for that, that's the part I'll kind of lean on you all and Mark and Taryn and folks to know, because your governmental budgeting is different than just, I can look at a private entity and say, hold some money back. You guys have a few, more restrictions on that. I know I've talked to Brian Googles at the school. I know he's talked through what they can do and what they're allowed to do, not to do, and they kind of had a 4, 5, 6, 7-year plan to hold so much back in an excess reserve fund that you are actually allowed to do. I assume you guys would have to do something similar, so that in 5 to 7 years from now, you could say, hey, we don't have to buy that Lloyd's of London product anymore.
Right,
We've
that's what we do with our health insurance.
Correct, we've held back funds.
Right.
So probably in the short term, you'll buy the Lloyd's product, however many years it makes sense with budgeting.
Right.
And hopefully we don't have a claim that,
Right.
since we just had one, that you can say, hey, now 6 years from now, we don't need to buy that product. We can take that excess premium that you're
Or-
paying and now you can even fund it further.
Or we can cut our premium that we're contributing to maybe in half or something.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Or you could look at that cost of the buy down, say it's a round number of $50,000 and say, hey, we made the decision, we're not gonna buy that product. We're gonna take that $50,000 in premium and put it in that excess reserve fund along with other excess funds to manage it, so.
Because we've cut our health insurance contribution back probably more than half to 2/3 maybe.
Yep.
So,
I've seen that a
yeah,
lot.
it's very, yeah.
Yep, so
So
you'll do something.
It's a little bit more of a risk in the first 5 years.
Correct.
And then after that, if your luck
Correct.
plays with you.
And that's where you may do the buy down for the first few years to help reduce your risk, and you get into whatever years you guys feel comfortable with, and then you.
Okay, good, just
Stop
kind of
the
good
buy down.
conversation. Okay,
So that's what we'll have in January. We couldn't literally bring it to you because we didn't have a quote in time for my cab with the
Right.
2% deductible to even get an option, so
okay,
there was no option last year.
okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Jay.
Make sure anybody
Just to Mark.
reaches out to the agency here.
Yeah, if you have questions on your claim, let us
Get
know.
your-
We'll walk you through it.
Get your roofs and stuff fixed, so, okay, thank you. Guys have anything else? Anybody from the public? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Right.